The Thursday, January 6th, 2022 Marathon County Infrastructure Committee meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. I think just because we got a number of people online and I can't see it that well, if we can go around, I'll call roll call, just announce that you're here. Sandy Seiler.
Here.
Chris Dickinson. Here. Jeff Johnson. Richard Gumbs.
Good morning.
John Robinson.
Here.
And Alan Christensen.
Here.
Have we heard from Supervisor Johnson at all? Supervisor Johnson.
Yeah, I'm here. Just had trouble getting the right window open.
Hey, no problem. Understandable. All right. Well, we have 100% members here. We will continue on with public comment. Didn't have anybody that had asked to speak during public comment. Do we have anybody online?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Supervisor Gumbs. I just wanted to say, if you don't mind, a lot of people were happy with the ATV, UTV routes being opened up, but there was a lot of questions why some townships can't be open, seeing it's a county road. The questions revolve. Isn't the county plowing the roads? Isn't it the county's job to build the roads, to pave the roads? Isn't the county job that puts weight restrictions on? A lot of people are really questioning that amendment onto the rule. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. Move on to item number 4 on the agenda, policy issues discussion and potential committee determinations for a potential sale of excess right-of-way, 1427 Lake Street, 17th Avenue, north of Lake Wausau. Commissioner Griesbach, can you take over?
Sure, you might want to jump back to the approval of minutes.
Oh, apologies. Item number 3, approval of the minutes of the November 4th, 2021 Infrastructure Committee meeting. We have a motion for approval from Christensen, a second from Dickinson. Do we have any corrections, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, minutes are approved with unanimous vote. Moving on now to item number 4, 4A, potential sale of excess right-of-way, 1427 Lake Street, 17th Ave, north of Lake Wausau.
Thank you. We also have a couple people that called in that we do not have knowledge who they are. One that ends in a 7-2 and one that ends in a 1-0. You could identify yourself.
Sure, this is John Lankin from Congressman Tiffany's office.
Yeah, this is Daryl Luna from North Central Regional Planning.
And also, just for your information, Mr. Chair, we have Brian Grafey from the airport, Dave Mack, Gene Mask, and Kurt Gibbs online also.
Thank you.
We've had a request from Mark Thompson, who is a representative, to buy a parcel of land. Everyone brings it up. Parcel of land that is a remnant parcel from back when we purchased land in around 2002 for the McCleary Bridge, for the bridge over Wausau, the old Snake Bridge. You'll see it on the screen right now. There is a parcel of land there, and they're looking at go to that one. They're looking at putting up a development along there. Currently, the landowner that has a approval offer to purchase on parcels 1 and 2 would like to buy the remaining part, some of that parcel along 17th Street. That parcel was bought again for the replacement of the bridge along County Trunk Highway N. The county bought it and was turned over to the city of Wausau at that time for a remnant parcel because it was not needed. So right now that parcel is in the city of Wausau's name. Working with Mike from Corp Council and the city and Marathon Technical Service, we've been looking at that parcel, what we could give up. We went out there and we'd like to retain at least 30 feet behind the guardrail if this was to be put up for public auction. a public sale. The parcel right now is in the city's name. Seeing the county bought it, if the city was to vacate it, it would come back into the county's name. And at that point, the county has a couple different options. One option is to sell it, according to state statute, we can sell it to the adjacent landowner. This particular parcel has two adjacent parcels. The person that owns this parcel to the north is the same person that has the land to the east with the offer to purchase. And there's a small area right in here, if you're looking at the screen, that another landowner has. So there are two adjacent landowners that we would have to offer the land to. So the question in front of the committee is, would we like to give up that remnant piece of parcel if the city was to vacate it? I believe Mr. Thompson's been in contact, and he is here today for any questions. He has been in contact with the city, and I understand the city is willing to sell that parcel. So the questions in front of you today are, do we want to sell the remnant parcel? And according to statute, it says we need to sell it for fair market value. Talking with Mike, he feels that we should have to go get a appraisal done at the owner's cost to sell that parcel, and then we would put it up for sale and offer to both of the landowners with a minimum bid. Is that my understanding, Mike? Yes. So if you have any other questions regarding that parcel, process, I'm here, Mike is here, and in the back room we have Mark Thompson from Marathon Technical Service, who is the representative in doing the engineering on this. As far as staff
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, let Jim, if you want to finish up your recommendation, then we'll go to.
As far as staff recommendations, as long as we went out there and took a look, as long as we have about 30 feet behind that guardrail, in case we would ever have to get underneath that bridge to do some work, that allow us to drive equipment underneath that bridge, along the bridge to get underneath there to work on that north abutment. That's about what we need. So I believe if we would keep that 30 feet, that still gives him enough area to do his development. Is that correct, Mark? And we would get a appraisal done on that parcel, but just for a kind of a reference, the two lots right to the east with the offer to purchase worked out to be $1.91 per square foot. And Mark, you remember that dimension you told me is like 8,200 square feet we'd be looking at selling.
Thank you. Supervisor Robinson.
Jim, did we acquire that through condemnation or through a friendly sale?
Through
Do
sale.
you remember?
Through sale.
And then are we required to offer it to the adjoining property owners or take it out to public bid?
We can do either or.
Any other questions from committee members?
But it has to be
So
one of
are
those
we
two.
looking,
Go ahead, Supervisor Robinson.
would we be able to set a minimum bid?
Yes, we've done that before when we had a parcel in Rim Mountain. I believe Mr. Samanda bought it. We put in, we sent it, when we offered it to the adjacent landowners at that time, and we said this is the minimum bid.
And do you remember what we paid on a square foot basis for it?
I do have those records back at the office. I did not bring it because there was also a home on this site when we bought it, and it was so long ago I didn't think it was really relevant because, again, there was a large lake home on that parcel, and it was a larger parcel because it went along that whole point, and it was so long ago. I don't know if those numbers would be relevant.
Any other questions from committee members? Or I would entertain a motion. I would assume that this would be a recommendation to go to county board.
We have to go to, I would assume it would go to finance and
Okay.
finance first.
We have a motion from Christensen, I'm assuming is to move forward with the recommendation from staff. Is that correct? All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Was that Gums or?
Yep.
All right, thank you. We have a motion from
Mr.
Christensen.
Chair,
Yep, go ahead.
is part of that motion, is the intent of the motion to only to declare that portion that the county is not interested in to be surplus and authorize the sale of it, not the entire parcel?
That is the intent of the motioner. Is that the intent of the second as well?
Absolutely. Let's add to the tax base.
All right. So we have a motion from Christensen, a second from Gums. Do we have any further comment from the committee members? Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. That'll move on to Finance Committee. Thank you. Moving on to item,
Mr. Chair, could I just ask Administrator Leonard to put this on the agenda then for Tuesday?
he's not in the room,
Next
but
week.
I think we can get him the message.
Okay. We will take care of that.
Thank you. On to item 4B, potential purchase of land, 713 North 30th Ave, Wausau, Wisconsin. Kramer Edition, Lot 10, Block 2.
This is a parcel that, this is the opposite. Grant Smart is representing Joanne Golden. We have purchased the other parcel of land from the Goldens probably about 16 years ago, directly to the east of this parcel that is now displayed on your screen. At that point, when we bought this, in probably about 2006, the other parcel, they did not want to sell the back lot. Since that, Harold has passed away, and now Joanne would like to sell this last parcel. This is the 28th corridor where we've been talking about what we're going to do in the future of this. I believe at some point, somebody's going to build a road through this area. We did purchase the parcel again right directly to the east of this, and now they're looking at the sale. They would like to have us purchase this last little parcel that's out there. The fair market value on that land right now is $11,000. But I did not go through the appraisal process because at some point, if this road is built, we're probably going to be, us or somebody else is probably going to be using federal funds. And I don't want to start a process that we can't finish to possibly lose our federal funding. So we're kind of stuck in the middle right here. I can't really go get you an appraisal and say this is how much this land is worth if we want to buy it to clear the right of way, either for us or for the city. Because again, I don't want to run the chance of forfeiting any federal funds down the road because we didn't purchase a right of way in the proper procedure. So the question today is, would the committee like me to go forward and begin the process to purchase this last parcel to clear the right of way? This would be basically the last parcel that we would have to buy to clear the right of way for the stretch going up to North Wausau Ave off of 28th to relocate 28th Avenue.
Thank you for that explanation. Do you want, maybe it's relevant at this point, just a little bit more explanation of where we're at with that 28th Avenue discussion? I understand that we're looking at what's going on with the official mapping, and there's been conversations going back a couple months at this committee, but there is some things happening on that. I think, did you hire Becker Hoppy, is that right?
We have hired Becker Hoppy to do a set of plans, what it would look like just to do a 2-lane facility instead of a 4-lane facility. So we have that process going on right now. Again, talking to city officials, everybody feels that this road probably at some point is going to go through this area. It's going to be who has the ownership. But, again, we did kind of commit ourselves and we bought all the land around it. If we would not purchase this, I think the Goldens would have a very hard time to sell this parcel at this point, seeing that the land is all purchased. I don't know if you would need to, put some thought in of what's going to be the value of this land to Goldens if we do not purchase it. But as far as, again, this parcel would be needed even if we build a 2-lane facility through there, if we relocate it, which at this point, it looks like we would relocate or the city would relocate through this corridor.
Thank you for that. Does anybody on the committee have any questions, comments? Go ahead.
Mr. Chair,
Well, Christensen
Mr. Chair,
first, and then we'll go to Gums.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner. If the county bought this and the city wanted to take that over, would we be reimbursed for all this property?
It's probably gonna be a negotiation at that point, what we're gonna do. If, you know, if we're just gonna vacate the land and turn it over to the city and say, this is our contribution to the project to relocate the road, none of those negotiations have been taken place yet.
Okay.
Supervisor Gums?
how many square feet and what's the square foot price?
The fair market value is $11,000. I do not have the square feet in front of me on this parcel here.
Looking at it's 150
But
by
it's,
146.
One half acre, 0.5, half an acre.
Any other questions from the committee members? Otherwise, we'd be looking for a motion to direct staff to begin the purchase process. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mr. Chair, I make that motion.
We have a motion from Gums. Do we have a second?
Robinson seconds.
We have a second from Robinson. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. On to item 5. We don't have anything for that particular item. We're on to 6, educational presentations and committee discussion. 6A was going to be the demonstration from Substrate. I understand Mark isn't able to be with us today based on snowstorms yesterday and travel. So we'll reschedule that for a future point and move on to item 6B, broadband update. Supervisor Robinson.
Well, thank you. There's just like to give you an update on where we are. Spoke with Steve Schneider from Bug Tussle yesterday. They received, they sold the bonds that the county was part of, the $70 million issue associated with Fond du Lac, Marathon, and other counties in the blended rate, and that was 3.24%, which is a favorable rate. Their goal is to get their towers and fiber in the ground by the end of 2022. They are looking, Supervisor Mask, they're looking at making sure the Leather Camp tower is up and running for fixed wireless in 4 to 6 weeks. And the constituent that you have, that Heidi, that was looking for services about a mile outside of their fiber, but they're looking to potentially expand fiber into that neighborhood. So they continue to evaluate where they're going. With that, we are continuing to work with other internet service providers, including Charter Communication on the NTIA grant, and we work with some of the smaller ones. There's a public service grant cycle that is currently open with applications due March 17th. The task force is looking at how we can better focus our efforts and be more successful. One of the things that has happened is the regional economic development agencies such as Synergy collaboratively have retained geo partners to do help with a speed test statewide. And we'll be rolling out information encouraging people to do speed tests. But the difference between geo partners and Test It, which was done through the National Association of Counties, is that geo partners will collect additional information like why, speeds, why people don't have access to internet, whether it's affordability, availability, or other factors. And we'll be able to use that in our Public Service Commission grant applications to prove a need. But we'll look for information. We'll encourage you as supervisors to contact your constituents to encourage them to go on to the GeoPartners website through the regional planning commissions or the county to collect it. Gary Hetzer from our CPZ staff will be helping us interpret that information going forward. We continue to look at what role the county will have going forward once we understand where the gaps are, which the GeoPartners information will help us find. We'll target our efforts into some of those underserved areas. But a lot going on, a number of partners we're working with, and 2022 looks like it'll be a good year for expanding broadband in the county. Any questions?
Supervisor Mask?
Go ahead, Supervisor
Yes.
Mask.
John, could you just repeat that little segment again about within a mile of Heidi's house? I want to make sure I got the information right.
Yes, she's located in an area that he thought might be served by
Okay.
the leather camp. If you remember, Bug Tussle provides services two ways. Currently, they currently rely on fixed wireless or the towers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's anticipating that the tower, which is currently operating for AT&T phone services, but they're looking to put the transmission equipment in for fixed wireless. That should be done in 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
But in addition to that, he's in the process of designing where the fiber to the home is, and he was going to evaluate extending the service into Heidi's home if there's enough volume in there. It's about a mile off of his current loop, the fiber loop, and he was in the process of evaluating whether they could extend fiber to the premise,
Okay.
which would be much more reliable.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Supervisor Robinson, when Marathon County does these grants for internet, do we ask that Wisconsin workers are hired when it comes to this kind of stuff? You hear that advertisements. Is the money being spent with people in Wisconsin? Or don't
There
we?
is,
Go ahead.
well, currently most of the, we haven't allocated any of we've allocated our funds in terms of a match to the Public Service Commission grant applications. There have not been local hire requirements for that. When we start using federal and state dollars, we have to follow their guidelines. We have again, our dollars have been used to match, and in the 2021 budget, we had $250,000 earmarked for broadband expansion. The only successful applicant that we've had, actually two successful applicants, have been through Serenity or Wittenberg Telephone Company, and that's probably for $140,000 of that $240,000. We have not put those requirements in, but they've been local firms, and I think pretty sure they've used local labor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I've heard those similar commercials. I think in my takeaway, just understanding the labor market at this point, if there's a company that's willing to do it and they've got openings in their schedule in Wisconsin, I think that they'll be hired. It's a shortage out there of kind of a short end of how they're trying to get all this work done. So any other questions on the broadband update? We got a question from Jerry. Sorry.
I just wanted to add, this is on. I just wanted to add that the other thing that the Bug Tussle asked us to do was help them find temporary storage for their reels, and Jim extended his back lot at the Stratford shop, so they have that out there right now. They've already been starting to store stuff out there.
Thank you. Thank you for that update, Supervisor Robinson. We'll move on to item 6C, updates from the Highway Commissioner. Take it away.
Our crew's mainly been out plowing and doing winter maintenance in the month of December. We're out 20 days on winter maintenance. Otherwise, the crews have been basically doing routine tree cutting, brushing, and still cleaning up from the storm in early December. As our department, we've had 3 resignations in November and December, so we're still trying to fill those positions. We had 1 retirement, 3 resignations, I should say. And we also will be losing a supervisor in early February due to retirement. We've been working with employee resources on new qualifications for position, and we're looking to refill that with a civil engineering technician. hopefully that'll be posted later today, so we're on that track. Also attended Wisconsin Transportation Development Association meeting, and a lot of the conversation was centered around the transportation bill, and one of the things on the transportation bill is the electric vehicles going to zero transmissions and all the charging stations, which is it's a thing that's probably needed and going the right direction. But nowhere in these conversations has there been much talk about the loss of gas revenue. Under current structure, we feel that there's going to be about a 40% loss in revenue per vehicle going to all electric vehicles. So we need to start those conversations with various peoples and different groups to figure out where we're going to find that lost revenue. Also, we met with our region regarding the transportation supplemental money that's out there. Our region, 17 county region, was going to split the $3,778,799 equally, giving Marathon County a share of $419,866. I presented that a lot of that money is based on population and lane miles. So after much conversation, the committee agreed that we would base it on lane miles instead of splitting it equally. So this year, instead of getting the 419, we're going to be getting 767,121. And going forward, if the supplemental money is still there, we'll always receive 20.3% of the funding for our region. We have Winter Road School coming up here January 17th through the 19th. Myself and Al will be attending that. And just to touch on the ATV, UTV, we did get all the signs up, a lot of positive feedback. On the western side of Marathon, I should say one in west and one in east, I guess. The towns of Rib Falls and Gunther are two of those townships that Richard spoke about earlier that were not open due to their townships not opening them. We have been contacted by both of those townships, and within a very near future, both of those townships are planning to open all their roads, and then at that point, we'll open up the county highways through their townships. So we already know that there's two townships out there, and I've heard talk that in the spring meeting that one or two other townships that are currently closed are going to be looking at opening up at least some of their roads.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on the report?
You got one.
Just one.
Go ahead.
So what is the status then on the ATV, UTV? I know things had to be posted and the maps had to be updated. Are people allowed to start traveling?
Yes, the roads are all posted as of, I believe it was that Friday before deer hunting, actually. We had them all the signs up. Maybe it was a Friday after deer hunting. But anyhow, right now, all the roads are open. They're all posted, so people are good to go. They can go on the county. They can either go to the county GIS mapping, or they can go to the parks and hit ATV and takes them to the map. You can bring up the map that shows all the roads that are open currently. Just for your reference, I did run a report, and the cost to the highway department to put up all the signs and everything turned out to be a little over 17,200 range, somewhere in there it was, to post all the signs up for the county. Again, we'll be taking those down as other townships start to open them back up.
I have a question for Jim. This comes.
Go ahead.
Hey, Jim, do you think our legislature's got to be told about, if the tax has to be added to electric vehicles when they're sold new to make up for the gas tax that they're not generating? Is that the way you think it's going to go?
We've started that conversation with Senator Petrusky already, and I know across the state there's been other conversations with other legislators, so we have started that conversation.
Any further questions on the commissioner's report? Hearing none, thank you for your report. We'll move on to item 6D, updates from CCI Director. Go ahead, Jerry.
Thank you. So I have two things I wanted to talk about. The first is a security implementation. So our insurance company has notified us at the end of October that they require us to have multi-factor authentication in place for remote access and access to email. And so we started that project in November. We have a full-time project manager that's working on it right now. All of our network staff are working on this. We did our pilot with the IT staff in November. That went well. We extended it to another 50 people in December, and the instructions have went out to all of the employees. We're in the process of getting everybody signed up for it, which is installing some software and registering. And then on the 18th of January, we're going to check the box that says everyone has to start using it for both remote access, for three things: for remote access to our network, which is VPN, which county board members do not use, but our employees do when they're working at home. Second, for anyone that uses Portal, which is it's very small use, but people that want to work at home on their own computer, they can get access to mail and some of our files with a product called Portal, which is a website. And then the main area is email. And this applies to people even inside of our network, because our we're in the process of, we were in the process before this started of moving everyone over to Office 365, which is a cloud mail solution from Microsoft. And because it's a cloud solution, we have to have multi-factor authentication in place for everybody that accesses it, even if it's inside of our network. So what multi-factor authentication is that in the security world, they talk about having three or four things: something you have, something you know, something you are. I'm missing one. Anyways, what historically you guys have all done is you've had to put in a username and a password to get your mail on your iPads. What will happen with this is, you may have seen this in other ones where you get text messages and those kinds of things. The way that this one is implemented is it'll ask you this up front, and then it'll ask you it occasionally, probably infrequently, but after you put in your password to do your mail, it will send a message to an app on the iPad. It's called Microsoft Authenticator. There'll be a 2-digit code in there, and then you'll have to put that in on the screen. And the way what that's doing is when you set up and register your iPad for authentication, it keeps track of that particular iPad, so it knows whose iPad that is and the device that you have. So that means basically something you know and then something you have. So the way we're going to do this for county board, since you guys are tricky and not here all the time, is we're going to implement the checkbox for all of our employees on the 18th. It won't apply to county board until we will move your mail. But for executive on Thursday, this 20th, wait, no, I'm sorry, that's not right, the 17th, for the executive committee meeting, an hour before that, they'll have a mail outage. We will move all of their mailboxes, and then we'll be here in person for executive to help anybody that has any problems installing it. Then the following Thursday, the 20th, same thing will happen. At 6 o'clock, we'll move everyone's mail files over to Office 365, and you will have an outage for about an hour before the meeting. And then we will have staff present here before and after the meeting. And you can do it on your own, and most of our staff are doing it on their own. It's basically asks you to click on a link, use the QR code that comes up to register, and you have to put in your password. What's challenging with county board members is a lot of them don't remember their password. They just have because it doesn't prompt you to get your mail right now. The only password you guys are familiar with is the 4-digit password that's on your screensaver on your iPad, which is not your network password. So if you don't know what your password is, that's why we'll be present. We will reset your password either before the meeting or after the meeting. If anyone has any problem that they waited until the last minute to check for mail, 20 minutes before the meeting, and they can't pull down mail, you guys can always get your packets online from the website. So we'll have a link in your instructions to remind you that you can do that. And then the challenge, this is important because they would not extend our cyber coverage. So the county has cyber coverage, but City County IT does not until this is done. So we will be reapplying for cyber coverage on the 18th after this is done. Any questions on that? Yes, sir. Yes, Chris.
So, so our email is on our iPad, but we're also going to be putting the Authenticator app on the iPad.
We've already pushed it to there. If you look, it's actually on your screen already.
So I guess my question is, you're already within a device, and then you're using an app within the device.
Yep.
Where typically authentication like that is you're on one device and then there's like another device like a phone or something like
yeah.
that.
And so what we're doing
is
for all
there
of our
any-
employees is we're pushing it to their phones, or we're providing them a hard device called a hard token, a 6-digit code that comes on. It's a little chiclet about this big. The way that it applies on the iPad is it's registering that particular iPad. So that's how it's meeting the rules for it. That makes sense?
Yep.
But we're not doing that for anyone else. It's just the county board members. You're also pretty low risk because you just have mail. You don't actually have access to our network.
An interesting thing happened to my son yesterday, who goes to Stevens Point. He got a new phone, and his Authenticator app was on his old phone. And although he transferred over his SIM card to his new phone, the Authenticator does not work.
Yeah, you have to re-register it because
he's
it's
actually-
keeping track of that particular phone.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact,
So
I
that
have
was
a new
just one
phone.
thing that came up that it.
Yep.
I knew
And,
you.
we were just talking about this yesterday because I actually have a new phone coming this week. And of course, I've been registered already. I actually registered a couple of times already because we've done some experiments and tried different things. But I'll be a guinea pig for testing, moving my Authenticator probably tomorrow or the next day. But yeah, every time you get a new phone, the Authenticator will have to. Now, you guys don't change your iPads out very often, thankfully. So that shouldn't happen very, very often to you guys. It's also not going to ask you for it every time. It will randomly ask for it, and it may ask for it whenever you switch networks. So like if you're normally work at home, it's not going to ask you at each time you start it up at home, but let's say you then go to your office and use Wi-Fi at your business and have your county iPad there, it's probably going to ask you for that, going to prompt you for that 2-digit code again. Many of you, what's going on is in June of 2021, the 7 largest insurance companies all got together and they started a new company just to set security standards for cyber. And so all of the big players are partners on this company setting this new standard, and then they're requiring it for all of their insurance policies. And cyber for public sector is a volatile, expensive market at the moment. Healthcare and public sector have been a target for quite a while. Questions on it? So again, Randy, you're going to get done on Thursday. We'll probably actually do you ahead of time just because you're in the building, the City Hall building.
Sounds good.
And I want to knock off, Lance is done. We're going to do Kurt today. But I'd like to have all the executive people done on Thursday, just to make sure they're out of the way. And then the rest of the people will happen. There'll be a mail outage at 6 o'clock on Thursday, the 20th.
Does anybody have any further questions? I'm sure everybody's looking forward to the higher level of cybersecurity. Moving on to, well, do you have anything on the ERP?
I do,
project?
yeah.
Okay.
So the other, we have lots of projects going on, but this one's huge. You guys have heard about it before. I wanted to give you an update of where we're at. So this is us moving our financial systems. And if you're not familiar with that term, it says enterprise resource planning tools. That's the kind of catch-all phrase in the industry for financial and HR systems. If you recall, we asked for money to do this project over the last couple of years. We've been setting money aside. The contracts were signed in the end of October. We're moving to Workday, and the Workday project is at a minimum. Well, it's actually really about a 15-month project, but the plan is to go live with the financial and HR stuff in December of 2022. And so they're doing it in stages. The first stage was to do some higher-level discussions about architecture. We're currently doing like a planning stage. We just kind of finishing the planning stage. And then they're collecting a lot of information from us over the February. And then in March, they start configuring our system and building interfaces. It's going to take a lot of time from a lot of people. It's a huge project. In addition to that, we also had to buy some other tools to go around it. And so we implemented a product called Tracker for debt management. That's already been done. We're buying a product called Teller, which is going to be front office, like front counter stuff. It's called cashiering tool that goes in the front of Workday for things like paying property taxes at the treasurer's office. And then we are putting in a job costing solution for highway, and the county will be using that for parks and their public maintenance crew. So parks, highway, DPW at the city, and the water utility at the city will all be using that. We're either going to be doing Workday or a product called CityWorks. We still have to finalize that. So the project's going along pretty well, but it's really time consuming. It's the meetings this week. All of the financial people are in meetings in the morning and afternoon, Monday through Thursday. They have Fridays off. Same thing with finance, same thing with human resources. And you may hear the term HCM or see that on material updates through the year. That's an acronym for Human Capital Management, which is the software piece that's related to payroll and all of the employee-related stuff, posting jobs, doing performance reviews, updating salaries for people, all of that stuff. That's a module called HCM, Human Capital Management. So you will likely hear updates from us every month for this until around June of 2023 when the whole thing's completely finished. Any questions on that project?
Any questions? Hearing none, thank you for your report. Moving on to item 7, announcements. A, future meetings and agenda items. Next meeting will be February 3rd, 2022. Anything further before we adjourn? We have a motion from Christensen for adjourn. Oh, you have a, okay, sorry.
Just that announcement. The Eastern Sounds Association, we won't have any county board meetings before we have that. So I'm just going to announce that it's going to be January 19th at the town of Hewitt. That's all I got. Thank you.
What time does it start at?
Oh, 7 o'clock, lunch at 6:30.
Thank you. On to item 8, adjournment. Supervisor Christensen with the motion, second by Dickinson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day. We'll see you next month. We'll see you earlier at county board, but as a committee next month.